Hey, dude, this dog like stinks, man. Okay, groomer, do something about it, man.
Hey, all you pet stylists, you found the Groom Pod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anyone who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. One of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and co-star of the show, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hey, Susie. Summer is creeping in. It's 90 degrees here, and I've broken a sweat for the first time. This is amazing.
We are also hitting 90 degrees, random 90-degree day in the middle of May. Not very common around here, but it does happen. So I'm already practicing my I'm too hot look. Here it is. Ready? It's hand over the forehead, turned backwards, and the other hand extended back. And oh my, it's so hot. Well, because I operate with no air conditioning. So I have a fan on that makes my haircuts a little worse because it moves the hair around when I don't want it to. But I always have the doors open.
I hate to try to turn dogs in a breeze.
It's a challenge. But I pulled out my fancy fan that you gave me, the stick fan. That's the battery charged one. So I've got that all ready to go for today. And welcome to episode 373 of the Groom Pod, recorded on May 14th, Mother's Day, 2023 in Snohomish, Washington and Tucson, Arizona. This podcast is brought to you by our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Evolution Shears, Groommore, Stasco, and Show Season. And you guys, if you'd like to go to our website and click on the donation button at thegroompod.com, you can do a one-time donation and help us out, or you can join us on Patreon. Both of those links are on the website. There's also a Chewy link. If you click through the Chewy link, we get a little teeny tiny, itsy bitsy, eeny weeny portion of what you buy, but it still all goes into the pot, so we appreciate it. This week, What's New is brought to you by Groommore Software. If you haven't found Groommore, you're missing out. Groommore is an all-in-one software solution for your grooming business. Whether you are a solo mobile groomer or manage several shops, Groommore has everything you need. 24-hour online booking and forms, routing, credit card processing, reminders, Google Calendar and QuickBooks integration, and so much more. And the best customer service anywhere. Shop mobile or house call, Groommore has you covered. And they're giving us a free month. Just enter GroomPod22 in the coupon code. Well, Barbara, I tried to redo the cat that I couldn't finish the other day where I left half of his belly. Well, she called me and she said, hey, do you want to try again? Because I offered it to her at the time. I said, let's let him settle down. I was pretty sure it was because I put a harness on him. I was thinking that was why, because the first two times I did him, I just used normal cat wrangling techniques. But this time I thought, I've got the trach saver, I'll put a trach saver on him. And it was like attaching a spring to the cat. He was bouncing off the walls and he just was, and then I just turned the clippers on and he went, no thank you, lady. So I had the top half of him done and a huge mane that continued all the way down his belly. And I called the lady to come out and get him. Well, I went back there and started, and the minute I turned the clippers on, he just went nuts. And so I called the lady to come in because she was pretty convinced that I was some magical cat magician that can manage any cat at all. And I, of course, told her I wasn't sure that her cats were even going to be doable because they're a little high strung. So I brought her in and I said, okay, we're going to put a cat muzzle, cone muzzle on just so you don't get bit. Oh, he won't bite me. I said, oh, how often do you...
Famous last words.
So I said, well, how often do you shave him at home? And she said, oh, I've never shaved him. I said, well, then I wouldn't be so sure that he's not going to bite you when we go through with this. So I had her hold the front end and we had the cone muzzle on and I just turned the clippers on and he went nuts and she was stunned. I said, I can do probably 60% of cats, but the other 40% are a no-go. And I'm afraid Fiddy is a no-go on the cat grooming. So she tipped me really nicely. I wasn't going to charge her. I was up in the neighborhood anyway. But yet another fail, although not so much a fail on my part, but a fail on the cat's part. He did not want his hair cut. It's not happening. So she said, oh, now he doesn't have hair on half of his body. Do I need to get him a shirt? And I'm thinking, well, why are we cutting the hair off anyway? I'm not sure what the purpose is here. If you have half a cat with hair and half a cat with not hair, how is getting a shirt going to make things better? I don't know. Anyway, that was an epic fail. And it was just an example of no good deed goes unpunished, right? And I have another one. And it is my childhood friend's daughter, whose husband cheated on her, and she's got a kid about 4 years old, and they moved back in with grandma. So grandma's footing the bill over there, and they have an American Eskimo. And through the, I know.
I just got to say it. That's a breed that's on my don't do list.
They're so unpredictable.
They're flighty. They're hysterical.
Yes.
They think things through.
Very much so. And this dog was a nice female, was really not a big dog last time I saw her. Well, now it's like more of a standard size. It's big. Small Samoyed practically. And they had not had the dog groomed for over 2 years. And my friend calls me and says, can you come over and do Band-Aid? And I said, the dog's name is Band-Aid. I don't even know why they call their dog Band-Aid. But she said, can you come over and get the undercoat out of Band-Aid? Because I've done that periodically through the dog's life. Well, now the dog is big and fat, and the whole back end was a solid mat, just a solid mat. And I thought perhaps I could do a baboon butt and blow the front of the dog out. So I got all my magical potions and my best shot and the max, and I put it all in the recirculator, and I tried to loosen some of it up, but it was like, I swear, 2 pounds of solid packed hair on the dog's butt. Then I got up to the front end of the dog, and the whole chest going down underneath was pretty much clumps of packed, matted hair. And I don't do peels. I don't do strips very often because all of my dogs are maintenance dogs. And I tried for 40 minutes to cut through the mats, to loosen the hair, to cut the ends off, to avoid shaving down this double-coated dog. I didn't want to do it. But at what point in time am I, on the generosity of my heart, doing this for my friend, and yet I'm spending so much time, and I've got people coming over, and I'm supposed to be at home, and I'm still working on the dog. So I took the dog down, went into the house, and I said, I'm going to have to shave your dog. I'm really sorry. There's no way around it. And I kind of explained that it's a white dog, and it's 90 degrees tomorrow. You need to get some sunscreen for the dog or keep her inside. And I can't promise you what it's going to look like when it grows back. But what I can tell you is it's not going to look like the same haircut. So I took all the hair, I peeled it off, big sheets of the side of the dog coming off, like a sheep. Yeah. Real healthy skin underneath, though. I was impressed with that. There were no ulcers or sores on the back end. It came out looking like that internet husky that has just a round head and then skin body. It looked so bad. I felt horrible. I just felt horrible for this dog. He's going to be teased endlessly everywhere, or she, I should say, is going to be teased endlessly everywhere she goes because it looks absolutely ridiculous. So I could not come up with any possible way around taking the coat off of this dog. I felt horrible, though.
I bet you did. I just hate it when I run into situations like that. And, we all face that from time to time. And some groomers are just immune to that feeling of not wanting to do that. Just have no qualms about balding a double-coated dog, I would agonize likewise. I even agonize on anything that I have to take closer than a seven blade. It just breaks my heart. And I worry about regrowth and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you just have to face the reality of that there's no other way. It's not like you didn't try. It's not like you don't have good equipment because you've got the best. You've got powerful clippers. You've got powerful dryer. You've got powerful bather.
And products.
And products. You know your shit. And and even for the expert de-shedder, there's going to come point in time, we're going to run into a neglected animal. See, neglect is the key word here.
Yes.
They had even been trying in the last 2 years to do something. No, they've just been ignoring it and totally neglecting the coat on that animal. And you don't have to burgeon them with a shovel of shame.
But I did. This dog is a walking advertisement for what not to do to your poor American Eskimo. I tried to get in there with my number 3 rocker comb, my little old-fashioned rock. Couldn't get in there with that. It just kept grabbing all the hair. Then I had half the dog wet and half the dog dry. So I turned the dog around and I took a 5-blade and I tried to wet shave it and I couldn't even get it started. So then I flipped the dog back around, let that side dry, and went through with the 7-blade, and I was able to do it with a 7-blade. Because I had spent so much time trying not to do that, I didn't really clean up. I mean, it was okay, but when I put the dog on the ground, I'm like, oh, I should have cleaned that up with a little reverse cutting and made it look a little less uneven in that spot where the mats were tighter. But I left it.
The dog walks away from you and out the door and you see some little thing. Like, I saw something on a dog that I had a terrible battle with shaving the inside of his back legs because he's semi-crippled and overweight, and I just couldn't safely flip inside there as well as I wanted to. And as I saw him walking out the door to go home, he was hairier on the inside of one leg than the inside of the other leg, and I said, oh, fuck it. I'm going to see him in 3 weeks, so I'll fix it. It isn't like I'm not going to see him for the summertime, I'd better fix this now. It was like, I'll see this in 3 weeks. Never mind. The owner doesn't look at his dogs anyway. You know what? This is Toro, the Shih Tzu Maltese mix. The owner did something in the puppyhood of this dog to totally destroy the trust of this dog and his owner. This man cannot put on and take off the harness of this dog. This dog lives in a harness 24/7. And if the harness isn't right and the dog slips out of its harness, as he did after the last grooming, this man has to take his dog to the vet to have the harness replaced. Because this dog is going to bite the holy shit out of him just to put on the harness. So he comes in and he's holding the dog with his belly looking at me, and he's saying, I didn't take it off. He said, this is how it has to be. It needs to be just exactly this. Be sure to put it back like this. I said to myself, I'm not going to take that off and put it back on. No, so I just, and the good news, harness got nice and clean in the Bathing Beauty. It was sparkling clean, and of course, I knew how to move it around so I could clip the whole body and everything, but we got a little touchy towards the rear end. And this is a dog that he has been good with us for 10 years, but now he's just getting grouchy even with us, that he trusts me, but he's still gonna get mouthy at me because he's old and it hurts. I just can't stand that groomers are not willing, that groomers think that dogs are faking it when they hurt. Do you know what I'm saying? I just can't go there anymore. I do not believe that dogs are drama queens. They may have a different perception of pain than another dog, but I don't think that they're overly dramatic as I was often accused of in my fucking family.
One of my behavior dogs, I do every 6 weeks. It's the poodle that I got from my friend Sharon. She's had some intestinal issues and they've been having to medicate her. And she's already a snappy dog, and her behavior just tanked over this medication period. It happens fast. All of a sudden, a dog that you've been working with that has been fine and then gets a little manhandled at the vet for a nail trim or has their ear hair roughly plucked or something goes on, and then they come back to you and all of a sudden their behavior has changed and you don't really know why. I always try to ask the owners if they've been to the vet or anything different happened. And in this case, she'd been medicating the dog. So, yeah, it's always interesting. Those dogs that have a difficult time.
I had a toenail failure
Oh, yeah?
last week that I didn't get to tell you about. Week, yeah, last week. And this was a Chihuahua. And this woman called me and she was speaking so unclearly and so rapidly that I didn't understand it too much other than to get that it was a Chihuahua and it desperately needed its nails clipped. So I gave her a window of opportunity because sometimes when people are like getting transportation from friends or family, you have to give them a window of appointment, not just a specific time. So I gave her an appointment window. She showed up with this little old fat Chihuahua in her arms. I still couldn't understand her, even direct face to face, because she was, I don't know, she wasn't totally well mentally. And she was just like really edgy and, yeah, I think she was a meth addict. But anyway, who am I to judge? She was, and I have this compassionate nail trimming setup where I go into the lobby, sit down in a chair, the owner sits down in another chair, we cover the dog's head with a towel, and I clip the nails while it's sitting in the arms of the owner. I don't take the dog away. And so I started to do that, and I gave her a towel, and she did that, and then I took a front leg and I held it for a moment, and then I moved the front leg towards the back and with the pad up facing me, right? And this is a way to do the nails without stretching the leg out in front of the dog and they see you clipping the nails. And this is how Dave does it, for example. He always clips the front nails from behind the dog's leg.
I do too.
So you do too? So I did that. Well, the dog let out a huge scream.
Uh-oh.
And he went, "You're hurting her, you're hurting her." And then the dog started screaming more and struggling more. "You're hurting her." I said, "No, she just knows what's happening," and she just reacted. She said, "Well, Dave just took the dog and went into the back, and 2 minutes later he was out and the job was done." See this finger in front of my face? Yes, that is my bird finger. Well, I just was pleasant, and I said, I think maybe Dave's the groomer. And you need to come back when Dave is here. So give me a call and I'll set it up for you. And she scurried off. And then her ride had gone through the car wash next door and had his dripping wet car right in front of my door. And he was out there drying and buffing his car for another like 25 minutes while she walked around with this Chihuahua. And, I just let it go.
Good.
I didn't feel the need, I didn't need to say, "Hey, I've been grooming for over 50 years. I've done a lot of these toenails, and I kind of know what hurts." And I'm really willing to work with a dog to figure it out, but I can't when you're screaming. So I didn't go there. I just let it go.
You just
Let
say
her
bye
go.
bye.
Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Like adios.
You know what I forgot? I forgot to tell everybody we're talking about microbubbles.
We are talking about microbubbles today.
Let's talk about microbubbles.
But let me give a really quick heads up about the Arizona Professional Groomers Association Tucson Mixer
Oh,
last week, which was why I couldn't podcast. And, it was delightful. It was really nice. So the location was perfect. First of all, it was like kind of real next to Trader Joe's and next to a PetSmart. So they were pet people and cool people in and out. It was at it's a bar,
oh,
Fire Brewing Association. But they have an outdoor seated patio with, about, I don't know, 6 or 8 tables there. And we had a server who just like served, and you could buy a drink and you could buy a snack or a lunch or whatever. And people mingled, and Craig the sharpener, the fabulous sharpener from Phoenix, came down and he sold some shears drastically up. I got an ultra curved 8-inch shear for Dave for $60, and that's like Chinese price.
nice.
And I met some people, and I talked to Mary Alice, who's an older shop owner. In fact, she opened her shop shortly after I did. It was good to kind of reconnect with her, and I reconnected with a couple of other people.
Did you get your stuff sharpened?
No, he wasn't sharpening. He had an experience as a vendor where his company bought out this other company's inventory, and he made a name for his company, and he had a logo, and he sold these shears as his. And then sales went so well that the original company bellyached about the sale and tried to say that he had ripped them off, and they wanted their name back. And so he gave the name back, and then he created a new name for his line. And then he's got this inventory of shears that are really good shears, because this man is the top sharpener in our state.
Nice.
He's really good. He's really devoted. And I learned a little bit. Not only did I meet him, but I learned a little bit about his background, that he started as a kid at his father's side. So that's how he learned sharpening. And he's very intelligent, and he applied his intelligence. He's just an excellent shears guy and blade guy. And so people were just buying shears. And then the sad part for me, he was selling these great big curved head long tooth slicker brushes, and people were just buying them by the handful. And I just had to bite my lip and not say a damn thing. But you know how I feel about those slickers. And then at the very end of the time, as people were leaving and everything, I went into the bar to pay my tab, and our server turned out to be this amazing woman, this amazing young woman who's working at this bar / restaurant, and she's earning her second degree at our university. Her first degree was in biosciences,
Nice.
and now she's gone back to study engineering because she wants to learn how to apply her bioscience information.
That's neat.
And she was a treasure, and very personable, and very easy to talk to, and I just really admired her, and that was just kind of a little icing on the top of my days. Not only did I meet a bunch of Tucson groomers that I hadn't met before, but I got to meet this fabulous woman who's bartending out there uh, to get herself. She's going to be somebody.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Isn't that cool? And I got to meet Craig.
How many people showed up?
I think there was 25 to 30 people.
Nice.
It was a pretty good turnout. It was really pretty good. People brought pets. Um, People introduced themselves. There wasn't as much mingling as I would have liked, and I wish that I had kind of like been in charge of the mingle, because I would have thought of ways to kind of force the action. Like some kind of games to play. And I never got to play Who's Grooming Him Now. There were not very many midtown Tucson groomers there.
Oh,
The shops that I know that are in kind of my immediate reach, they weren't represented.
what a shame.
And so a lot of these people were kind of from outreaches, suburbians, and it was amazing to see how our industry has grown to spread to these outreaching communities. It was cool. It was really good. I don't know the future of the Arizona Pet Groomers Association. It's a little iffy, because the main woman who started it has now kind of removed herself. I told you there was drama, internal drama going on, and I think it kind of came to a head, and she got discouraged. But this woman has terrific energy and terrific vision of what she'd like to see for Arizona groomers, but she's a little over the top in her presentation of this, and I can see how a lot of groomers are kind of shy, and that's one of the things that drew them to animals rather than humans, and with some notable exceptions like myself and Crystal Dunn. But there's a lot of kind of shy people that I think that were just kind of overwhelmed by her bombastic speech. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm still involved, and I hope that others still are, and I still have hopes. My biggest commitment is that I want to see an organization that actually prioritizes improving our image as a profession with the public. So, I want to say, now, for example, the other day, like 4 or 5 of our Tucson groomers that are like BFFs and they have their own chat group going, they went to our animal control and groomed dogs. That should have had a TV crew. Don't you agree?
Yes.
I said, you guys, that's wonderful that you're doing that, but why don't you call a couple of TV studios and let them know what time you're going to be there doing that? Because what they don't understand about media is that there's people that are aching for stories.
Yep.
And aching for feel-good stories. And they would love to take pictures of groomers volunteering their services at the Animal Control Center to help dogs be more comfortable and more adoptable. They're dying to do that. And if you don't contact them, they're not going to know you were there. And it was a missed opportunity. I like that kind. I think we need to do more of that kind of thing, maybe on a more organized statewide basis.
Here, here.
I'd even like to see dogs of homeless people groomed by professional groomers, in some kind of an organized and safe way. I really would like to see us do that, and then get some publicity for doing that, because too many people, they're kind of taken aback by our prices, and they think we're just after money. That is an image that exists of professional pet groomers. They're raiding dogs and doing dogs for the money. Well, yeah. Okay, so that's that. You want to talk about bubbles next, or do
Yeah.
you want to go talk about another subject? You first.
No, no. I think it's on to microbubbles, but first, let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold Spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free ultra concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub, made from the best stuff on earth. Ready, groomers? Here comes our first appointment. We've talked about microbubbles here on the podcast before, but there's always new information and it's always good to review. So, Barbara, take it away.
Someone in one of my groups raised a question kind of to me, like, what do you think about the TheraClean microbubble cleaning? And I thought, rather than give my stock response, which has to do with a criticism of the TheraClean people's science, I thought I'd just take a deeper look again. And here's the deal. Microbubble cleaning is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a big thing, but not necessarily a big thing in the pet grooming world. And the TheraClean people have kind of over exaggerated the thingliness of TheraClean in Japan, but we'll get to that. So it's not only a thing, microbubble cleaning is a do no harm thing. It's green, it's gentle, and it uses ionized mini micro bubbles, also known as nano bubbles. And there's a lot. Here's what I did. I searched regular Google, for microbubble cleaning and pets, how do microbubbles work, blah, 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 microbubble this, microbubble that. A lot of my ability to research topics is that I can think of phrases to search by. And after I kind of ran through my thing on Google regular, I went to Google Scholar, which is where you find the studies and the more technical and academic stuff. So I looked up microbubble cleaning there and pet cleaning with microbubbles and stuff there. And then I went to Google patents, where you find patents for cleaning devices and how they're justified and supported. And then, because the patents are they're ghastly to read. In fact, I think I ought to get a bonus every time every time I spend time with a patent reading. It's such a hard read. It makes you feel dumb. Anyway, then I had an exciting conversation with artificial intelligence, AI. And what I like about the AI chat site is that you can follow up with questions, and I did that. I had a 5-part discussion of microbubble technology with AI, and here are some of the things that I learned. So yes, surface cleaning using microbubbles is a thing. It's used in many industries. It's used because it's so ultra gentle, it's used to clean cultural relics,
Oh,
delicate electronics, and food. Now, to give you an example of why we might want an alternative to detergent cleaning, I learned that China reported the production of 11 million tons of detergents in 2020. That's a shitload.
Boy, it sure is.
That's one country. Although they do supply the global demand for detergents, but that's a lot, and that's a lot of chemicals, and that's a lot of chemical waste going into the environment. And one of the things about microbubbles is they're not just friendly, environmentally friendly, but they're harmless. So how do microbubbles work?
Barbara, how do microbubbles work?
Hey, I'm so glad you asked. So they work by a number of means, most of which are conjecture.
Oh,
There's very little, like scientific evidence that they work these, but the physics of the matter sort of explain. So, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that microbubble surface cleaning includes the ionization of the bubbles. So they're given a negative charge. They're made anionic,
oh,
but they don't form micelles.
oh.
The bubbles themselves have a negative charge, which attaches to the is attracted to the negative charge of the dirt and soil on the skin or surface to be cleaned, right? Well, and the TheraClean uses a generator to generate the negative ions. I'm going to have a conversation with them and see if they'll tell me a little bit more. So the ionic nature of the bubbles themselves do some cleaning, but there's physical agitation that happens just from the bursting of the bubbles at the surface of the surface to be cleaned. In this case, let's say the hair and skin, because as the bubbles burst, they cause the water at that place in point to jet stream and become forceful, and it dislodges dirt and crap, which is then ionically picked up by the ions in the microbubbles. Those microbubbles with a little piece of dirt float to the top of the surface, and at the surface they release their shit.
So, like when
Right?
the bubble explodes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the ways which is related is shock wave generation. Who would think? I didn't expect to see that. AI told me this. The shock waves and liquid jets produced when the bubbles burst apply a large number of small impacts on the surface of the object to be cleaned. Isn't that something? So there you go. So we have shockwave generation, we have physical agitation of the water around the surface, and we have enhanced mass transfer. So this is described by AI as micro nano bubbles have a large surface area and deliver oxygen and ozone, which can participate in cleaning by mass transfer.
Now,
I sort of hear what that's saying, but I don't quite get it.
okay, good,
Right.
because I wasn't quite there and I thought maybe I was missing something, but okay.
So we've got shockwave generation, enhanced mass transfer, and then just plain physical agitation. The bubbles burst and shit happens. Right? And like I don't know, because you think about you would think that big bubbles would have more energy, but it's not true. These little teeny bubbles seem to have more energy when they burst than when big bubbles burst. But we know for a fact, don't we, that bubbles are air trapped.
In water,
So, so
trapped in
now
suspension.
the Therapet system actually uses a separate tub with a hose in it that makes the microbubbles that's operated by an external compressor. It costs thousands of dollars. So if you have one, you got to market it, and you've got to, you know, add the
The
up your
cost,
prices,
yeah.
make it separate treatment. And the other microbubble technology available for pet grooming is the relic shower head, which has no compressor, and it's all in the head of the shower attachment, that you just replace your shower head or uh, rinse water hose with this thing. I would like to try that. Hello, if you're listening to me, Relique, send me one of your gadgets so that I can test it. But here's the deal, Susie. There's no doubt that microbubble cleaning is used extensively in cleaning various large and small hard surfaces. It's not really used extensively in cleaning hair and skin, and there's very little science to back it up. And I found no scientific articles that have any factual comparison of one type of cleaning and another. How measure that? So mostly they're measuring cleaning ability by the amount of dead skin that is recovered or trapped in the rinse water.
That's not accurate, though.
Yeah, it's not accurate. And there's no tests that compare shampooing with well balanced. We're not talking about just using a harsh surfactant to compare with microbubbles, but how about a well balanced detergent formula of skin and hair cleaning versus a microbubble skin and hair cleaning? There's no comparisons. There's no science that compares those two. That the microbubble is just marketed and presented as better, but there's nothing to back that betterness up. And that just really rubs me the wrong way. It just bothers me.
Oh, Patty!
Bull patty is right. And then we have the fact that TheraClean misrepresents the cleaning of the hair follicle. Their diagram is like incorrect. They show the diagram of the hair follicle all the way down into the dermis, and then they show a picture of dirt and crap attached to the hair shaft within the follicle, and then they say that that the microbubbles are extremely deep cleaning in the uh, epidermis, but they don't go into the dermis. Well, excuse me, your picture shows the the dirt going in the hair follicle in the dermis with dirt and the bubbles going down into the whole hair follicle. That's not accurate. That's not the truth. That's not factual. That's not scientifically demonstrated in any way. So that puts me off. I believe that they clean, that microbubbles clean and can be an alternative, but I don't believe that they go down into the hair follicle.
Well, there it is.
So I think it's misleading. And TheraClean requires a separate tub, their tub, that you put the dog in while you give it its bath. And then you have to take it to the regular tub and rinse it off. And then they don't even talk about conditioner. But if you have like thoroughly exfoliated the skin and the hair shaft, you're going to have porous hair, porous skin. You're going to have open areas. It's going to be weird. It's going to need conditioner. But what they talk about is that a dog that's undergoing therapet cleaning treatments needs to be done once or twice the first week and weekly thereafter, and wear a t-shirt in between baths while new skin is forming. While
Wow.
new skin is forming. What? Are we actually removing epidermis? Are we actually, and I asked artificial intelligence. AI maintained that the microbubbles had some potential for being antimicrobial. This
How?
is part of the healing potential, is that they can it they and so I said, well, if they're killing bacteria, what are they doing to the microbiome?
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence couldn't answer my question. That's not really been determined.
Huh.
Then I checked back into Google Scholar to make sure that, because we know that artificial intelligence cuts off at 2021. So you want to see if there's anything like really newer, but there doesn't seem to be.
Hmm.
Then one more thing that I did, because TheraClean maintains that this system, microbubble cleaning, is used widely in Japan. It's like all over the place in Japan, that vets are using it, pet groomers are using it, and it's popular. And what it's not. I looked at a whole bunch of Japanese websites, and even though I couldn't read their language, I looked at pictures. There was no picture of the dog in the microbubble bath. There were pictures of dogs with little shampoo crowns on their head, sudsy stuff. When they depicted the bath at these pet grooming places, they did funny things, cute things with the suds on top of the puppy's head, right? So that means they're using shampoos.
Yep.
And the other thing that you have to think of is that if you go too heavy into micro cleaning as an industry, you're losing all of that money from sales of products.
True.
What's going on with that? If you want to do therapeutic cleaning and and spend $2,000 to $10,000 on equipment, go for it. I have no doubt that the Therapet is a cleansing motherfucker. Excuse me. Oh, I'm just such a piece of trash. Um, the Relique shower head doesn't have an external compressor. Somehow it's all contained in the shower head, and I need to contact them and say, how do you make the microbubbles uh, ionic if there's no electricity, or like, what's your method?
I was wondering that when, as you were describing it, I'm like, how was that actually creating the thing? And then,
Yeah, how's that comparable to where there's a compressor and it's using electricity to ionize the water? Well, I don't know. And Susie, I don't know that it's just I I think that it's has potential to being a good option and a specialized healing thing, but I don't know that it's better than traditional bathing with medicated shampoos or medicated products. And by the way, you can use microbubbles and little amounts of chemical. Like you can use a targeted antibiotic to target something that's happening, you know, I don't know, can you target Pseudomonas aeruginosa? I like to know that. There's still a lot unknown about microbubbles. It's a emerging science, and we're at the edge. It's emerging just like studies of the microbiome are emerging. And so there's a lot of conjecture, and we don't know whether I can't say for sure that microbubbles do no harm. I know that they don't add that scraping and scrubbing action that we often have when we massage chemicals into the skin and coat of dogs, because they're much more gentle than that. But what are they removing? I still have questions.
So the bath bombs are making tiny little bubbles, but they're not ionized, right? Or are they?
Which is that?
A bath bomb. Like, for instance, if you use a bath bomb that has a tiny bit of surfactant in it, like the one the marshmallow lady has.
And what about the groom bathing tablets are very hypoallergenic. This hypoallergenic thing is a large part of the allure of microbubble technology. And it's deep cleaning that goes down into the skin and can clean out allergens. I don't see any science to verify that. It's a nice thought. I can see that it doesn't add any sensitizers to the skin, but it seems to me that it kind of leaves the skin so clean that it might be more sensitive,
Vulnerable, even.
vulnerable, even. I just go back and forth. It's a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, what about this? It's a good thing. But wait, I'm still teeter tottering around this topic, even after spending hours and wanting to love it. Because I love technology, but I'm just not convinced that it's operating in the same way with living skin and dead hair as it is with cultural relics and electronics or food surfaces or the floor, you know, or the ship, or cleaning, large hard surfaces. Hard surfaces is mostly what we see it used as. There's lots of applications, and most of them are hard surfaces, except for this food cleaning thing.
Right. And skin and hair, not hard surface.
Skin and hair are porous, not hard surfaces. I just have a little bit of room for improvement in my knowledge. The search continues. The skepticism is maintained, although not blatantly skeptical as I was maybe a couple of years ago. Okay, there's science to say that it's a thing, that it's a good thing for certain applications.
All right. Well, folks, we have possibly some technical issues here with this show. So if it's a little short, you'll know why. But in case it's not a little short and I can cut in these ads, I'm going to play them right now. Sometimes my clients don't like a walking air freshener. When these crazy people request a scent-free option, I go right to Show Season.
Show Season True Tearless Shampoo and Hypo Conditioner fit the bill. They are totally fragrance free and yet hold up on their own as good products. True Tearless has been expertly formulated to be gentle to the eyes, skin, and hair while maintaining good cleaning power. Hypo Conditioner is a great option as well, and it's one of our favorite conditioners with or without fragrance. So let's get fragrance free. Use True Tearless and Hypo Conditioner from Show Season today.
Go to showseasongrooming.com.
Hey, Chris Bear Anthony here. You may know I've been swiveling for years now with my beloved Evolution shears, but I wasn't actually born with a pair of swivel shears in my hands. Check out our website and Facebook page for our library of how-to videos, or give me a shout for a personalized guide. Your hands will thank you. Don't forget, GroomPod listeners get $10 off and free shipping with the code GroomPod. What are you waiting for? Give them a try today.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see how the first part of the show actually pans out because I don't know what I screwed up on the audio. But either way, thanks for being here for the second part of the show. And happy grooming I wanted to tell you before I forget, there's always something I forget. I got my sample of the ACV apple cider vinegar shampoo. I love it. It smells wonderful. It cleans fantastic. Truly takes the grease off of the greasy Yorkies, but leaves the hair nice. And I cannot say enough great things about the apple cider vinegar shampoo.
You should put that after the show season ad.
I will put it after the show season ad, or I'll run the show season ad after this. But yeah, absolutely. You know, I can't believe how much I like that shampoo. I'm kicking myself for not having gotten a gallon. So try it, you guys. Try that ACV shampoo from show season. And thanks for being here. Please support our sponsors. Remember to tip your groomers at thegroompod.com. And, of course, happy grooming. See you next week on the Groom Pod. Bye-bye now.
What I have to say about the ACV shampoo from the show season is, I told ya.
Yes, you did. Whoops.
I told ya.
Let me do that again. There we go. Are you going to tell everybody we love them?
Oh, everybody, have a great week. We love you. Take